Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. Today, we must discuss that Biden's allies, close aides, and a lot of his friends are now talking about his mental health. Let's get into it. Yes. Thank you. And welcome back for joining me today on the Community Ledger. Again, my name is Andrea Banu. If you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And like I said, we must talk about it. It looks like a lot of Biden's friends and allies, a lot of his Democratic cronies are now writing books telling everything about his mental state. And it looks like they're now admitting that we were lied to. Let's get into it.
For former President Biden and those in his orbit who are fighting for his legacy. Politico has this headline: Biden world braces for bookstorm. There is nothing stormy about that man, but you make it stick. Try. Biden allies are already pre-budding some of those books' authors, challenging their framing and questioning their fact-finding approach in an attempt to protect the former president's image. 4 books are set to drop over the next few months. 4 of them. The first one hits the shelves tomorrow. And here's some parts of it. Biden aides warned about Kamala Harris replacing the president. Quote, "You want her? Look at her polling. No one wants her. Forget it. It's never going to happen." Quote.
And I'm going to pause right there. Do you hear that? So, like I told you in past videos, people in the Democratic Party did not even have any faith in Kamala Harris. And yet they pushed her out there because they wanted to hurry up and get rid of Biden. And they were hoping they could maintain power. But nobody felt like she was qualified. I've said that over and over again. And after she lost, a lot of political pundits came out and stated that. And here you go again. You have all of these people writing books stating the exact same thing, that they didn't have any real confidence that the public would actually choose her. And so the whole time they were on that campaign trail claiming she was the best thing going, you were being lied to.
It sheds light on Democrats quietly hatching contingency plans for a deteriorating Biden as early as 2023. It also claims the Biden team, quote, strategized around the possibility that Biden might die in office.
Wow.
End quote. Former CNN political analyst has a prediction for Biden.
The fact that the Biden inner circle clearly knew he was diminished. They kept him from the media. They insisted to the media he was fine, even while knowing he was not. I have a feeling that by the end of May, Joe Biden and his inner circle are going to even be more persona non grata than they are right now.
And I'm going to stop it right there. So they all talked about this man being competent and healthy enough to run for a second term, although we all could see that that was clearly not the case. Right. I mean, way before the campaign of 2024, I was sitting at home like, where is his family? It's obvious this man is getting old. He cannot function. He should not be trying to run again, let alone run the country. But they kept being like, oh, this is propaganda. This is conspiracy theories. It's all lies. And now that they've lost and they see that they're tanking in terms of the polls and their staunch constituents, all of these diehard Democrats are losing faith in them. And I don't know if that's why they're deciding, to have this come to Jesus moment. But the truth of the matter is they continue to lie the entire time. And so is it really a coincidence that they lost so much support? Because not only did they lie to us in terms of telling us that Biden was in great shape, but then they ushered Kamala in knowing she was not qualified. But I'm going to go ahead and continue because Abby Phillips wants to know from other Democrats how they feel a way about this, or if they feel a way about this.
Aides before the former president's disastrous debate last summer. According to Klain, his chief of staff, his concerns could not be overstated. The former Biden chief of staff spoke to the journalist Chris Whipple for his new book that details last year's unconventional race. And just 4 days before the debate, Klain recalled that Biden didn't know what Trump had been saying and couldn't grasp what the back and forth of the campaign was. And At his first meeting with Biden for debate prep, quote, Klain was startled. He'd never seen Biden so exhausted and so out of it. Biden was unaware of what was happening in his own campaign. Halfway through the session, the president excused himself and went off to sit by the pool. In a statement to CNN, Klain said the excerpts from the book distorted his meaning. He says, I had no doubts then or now about the president's mental acuity. My point was that he was exhausted from travel and sick and overly focused on foreign affairs and detached from domestic policy. He says that Biden wasn't in the flow on the arguments of the campaign and was focused on Ukraine and Israel. I am not sure that is the defense that he thinks it is.
And here's the bottom line, having nothing to do with the excerpt. That special counsel who interviewed President Biden about why he had the files in his garage, I mean, his ultimate conclusion was basically Biden wasn't up, like he shouldn't be prosecuted out of sympathy. He's an elderly man. He's an elderly man who has a very bad memory and doesn't remember anything that happened.
Ashley, do you feel lied to?
Yeah, I do. I think I hadn't been around the president before that debate, and I worked for Joe Biden, and if the people around him knew that he was not capable, it is unacceptable to me that they allowed him to go onto that stage.
But you knew he wasn't capable. You don't have to work around the man to be able to see the man wasn't competent. We sitting at home. We don't see this man on a regular basis up close and personal, and we could see that he was not in a good mental state. So, I mean, give me a break. And you knew that. You knew that. You just didn't care because you had a certain agenda to push. You wanted to hurry up and usher Kamala in, and you were just going to continue to go with whatever the mainstream media was pushing. And that is that. And that mission and that storyline was that Biden is great. He's doing good. You knew he wasn't doing well. Anybody could see that this man wasn't doing well. Anybody could see it.
I deserve better as a voter, not even as a Democrat, as a voter and as an American. I do.
And I know that Joe Biden is a friend, but in this excerpt, the part about the pool, he went off, this is in the middle of debate prep, went off to the pool and he took a nap. And that was before the biggest debate of this campaign. That's not even the governance of the country. Mm-hmm. So Joe Biden, maybe he has the best intentions. I'm sure that you believe that. But the right decision, it seems pretty unequivocally, is that he should not have run for re-election.
Look, I was also just texting with Ron Klain, and who vehemently says he was taken out of context. I'll tell you my experience, which is what I can talk about. I've known Joe Biden for over 25 years. Certainly, the Joe Biden today is not the Joe Biden of 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago. It's not. But also, I will tell you, and I think that comes out also in the book and the excerpt that I read, something clearly happened that day, around those days, that was not the case the day after. I saw Joe Biden 24 hours after that debate here in New York. He was a completely different person. I saw Joe Biden when he came to The View after he dropped out, and he was a completely different person than what we saw at that debate. What happened around those days? I don't know. And can I tell you something? I don't care, because I want to talk about the future and how we fight Donald Trump and how.
Do you hear this? She says, I don't care what was going on with Biden. I want to focus on hating Trump. I want to talk about the future, and we need to figure out how we can defeat Trump. But your party is dragging. Your party is in shambles. Well, she claims to be a Republican, so I apologize. This isn't her party. But her cronies, her friends, the Democrats, they are flopping. So how can you not care? That is the problem. You guys are so focused in on hating Trump that you haven't brought any solutions in regards to how you even intend to beat Trump outside of just getting on national platforms and just spewing all kind of craziness day in and day out. Those aren't real solutions. You tried to do that in the entire campaign. You tried to do that the entire campaign, and it was a failure. So why do you feel like continuing to do that and hone in on that message that he is just this horrible person and we got to get him out of office is going to work? People put the man in office. If it worked then, he wouldn't be where he is. Everything that he's implementing right now, people asked for. people wanted. So this is crazy. And she's like, just ignore the fact that, this entire party lied to all of America. Okay, this man was not competent. So if he wasn't competent, who was running the country? I asked that question several videos back. Who the hell was running this country? But she's like, that's not even relevant. Let's just focus on hating Trump. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
How we get rid
he
of
was
Donald
not
Trump.
he was not a completely different person. He did the Stephanopoulos debate interview to try to save him. He did your show to try to save him. He just he's the guy who's in his mid-80s. I'm not faulting him. He just wasn't the Joe Biden who was elected 4 years before.
He wasn't the one.
And his family should have pulled the plug.
I said that.
Well,
His
they should
own
have,
family
and so
should
should
have
his
pulled the plug.
advisors. I mean, talk about a big cover-up. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Donald Trump lately. I just
Thank
want to
you,
ask
Chair
a simple
Michael.
question. Who in the heck was running the country? If the president's mental acuity was in question and some days he's on and some days he's off, was the guy really capable of doing the job day to day? I honestly really question that. And I think a lot of Democrats who said at the time, oh, Joe Biden is the fittest guy in the world. He could do backflips. He could jump into the pool, run marathons, do 100 push-ups. When every freaking person who saw Joe Biden said, there's no one in hell this guy is physically fit. But they told us, don't believe your lying eyes because we're with him every single day. And it wasn't true.
One more
It wasn't true.
just so people understand the other part of this. Ron Klain was talking about how Joe Biden seemed obsessed with what the world thought of him. Klain wondered, half seriously, according to the book, if Biden thought he was president of NATO instead of the U.S., quote, he just became very enraptured with being the head of NATO. That wouldn't help him on Capitol Hill because Klain knows domestic political leaders do not care what Macron and Schultz think. And he was running for re-election.
Here's what I will say. I try and be an honest broker when I talk about things on this show. And I do think that does not always happen with other guests. What we are
Present
learning.
company excluded, right?
Present company.
Okay, thank you. Just
what,
wanna make sure.
what we are hearing right now is unacceptable to me, and I am a Democrat. And I think in order for this country to get back on the right track, when things like this are exposed, we have to call balls and strikes right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That night of the debate was terrifying for many, many reasons. It was scary. It hurt my heart, but it was very clear that might not have been the first time. And I find that unacceptable. I would find that unacceptable in a Trump administration, in an Obama administration, in a Bush administration, and in a Biden administration.
Why do you
All right,
think
we
that
gotta
it
leave
wasn't
it
the
there.
first time?
We really have to leave it there.
Because you don't just fall off the cliff that quickly. It's a
You
slow
really don't.
decline.
Right. Exactly. It's a slow decline. You know what I'm saying? And the issue is, you didn't have to lie about it. Like it's just not that big of a deal. I mean, the guy is old. Like these things happen. This is natural. You know what I'm saying? People get old. They get senile. He may have some dementia. It's normal in terms of just aging. He's under a lot of stress. He's all over the world on a constant basis. Like it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it wasn't, unheard of for an elderly gentleman, well into his 80s to start losing, his sensibility, start losing, his ability to compete on the same kind of level, politically. And so to me, it was just like, bow out gracefully. Just say, you know what, he's not the man he used to be. It's time for him to relax. It's time for him to retire. It's time for him to go home. He has served his country, allow him to go out with dignity. But instead, they, wanted to go out here and lie to everybody and say, oh, he's doing great. Like Sher Michael said, oh, he can do backflips. He can run a mile. And it's like, please, we know you're lying to us. This is crazy. And then he gets on that he gets on that debate stage and is a hot ass mess. And, and Trump, and I remember that one little portion of the debate where Trump was just like, I don't think Biden knows what the heck he just said, because he was just not there. And after that debate is when they're clamoring to try to figure out the next moves. And then they oust him and throw in Kamala. But that entire setup was supposed to be like, oh, he bowed out gracefully because he just decided. No, he didn't. He didn't decide anything. You guys pushed him out. You guys, scammed him. And then he threw in Kamala because he knew that was going to be a stick it. That was him sticking his middle finger out to the Democratic Party, the leaders of the Democratic Party, the Obamas and the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers. Oh, you want to push me out? Okay, take that. Take Kamala. See how far you get. And here we are. And so, to me, it's disheartening. It's really disheartening because these are the people that claim to have known him for 20 plus years and care about him. And if you care about somebody, you just be honest and say, listen, it's time to go ahead and take a seat. It's time for you to go ahead and bow out gracefully. And they knew that he was not capable well before the 2024 presidential campaign. And his family, his wife is a doctor, for goodness sake. His family should have said, Dad, it's time. But don't sit up here and lie to us. Don't lie to us and be like, oh, yeah, he's great. He's doing amazing. When the whole damn time he was off. He was clearly off. And I'm like, sure, Michael, again, who in the hell was running the country? And the thing about it is, that's why the Democrats really wanted Kamala in, because she's just going to do whatever the hell they tell her to do. She ain't running nothing. She's not going to be running a damn thing. Kamala was going to be a yes woman. Just tell her where to go, where to sign, and it's done. She could care less about anything and anybody as long as she's got that title, as long as she's got the accolades and the praise and the prestige, and she don't give a damn about it. Now, do you think she would have been closing that border? Hell no. You think the economy would be better off under Kamala? Absolutely not. So, she was going to be the perfect candidate to just be a puppet. But thank God, enough of us had enough intelligence to not allow that to happen. And so I've said it in many, 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 many videos. We most certainly dodged a bullet. And you may not be a fan of Trump, but he has bided us time. He has given us some time, because if Kamala was in there, things would be a hell of a lot worse than they are now. But nonetheless, what say you? What is your opinion about the fact that you got all of these Democrat strategists and aides and friends of Biden now wanting to write books and capitalize off his mental instability and the drama and the scandal of the Democratic Party hiding this from the public? I would love to continue this conversation in the comments. So if you have not already, please do share, like, and subscribe. And until next time, my name is Andrea Banu, and this is the Community Ledger. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here.